that's the problem when people want to try a new channel with the wrong methodologies or even no process at all, no real strategy on how to conquer this channel. And so this is what we're going to see today, how to go from zero all the way to thousands and tens of thousands of followers on LinkedIn, but also thousands of engagements and thousands of customers behind it.
I always dreamed to do what I'm gonna do today because I love watching boxing match. Okay, so please, for the main event of tonight, let's make a lot of applause for Kévin. Woo!
Gotta stay consistent. Hustlers, how you listening? We the doers, we do what doers do. Grind every day and handle business. Entrepreneurs rising, we're not wasting time. Inspire, educate, entertain, that's the sign. Flomodia, for the doers by doers. Unstoppable, we shine.
All right, meet Patrick. Patrick is a VP of marketing at a B2B startup. So most likely a lot of you are in B2B and so are interested, just like Patrick, by how to acquire new customers for a business. So Patrick has two main sources of acquisition with his marketing team, which are ads and SEO, right? So ads is very good because it brings a lot of revenue, but it requires a lot of testing and a lot of effort like revenue to actually get results. Now, the other thing with ads is that once you cut the budget, you don't have any more customers coming in. Whereas the SEO, once you invest and you're pretty patient, you can get results over the long term and have something that sticks even when you stop investing in this channel. But the saying goes, if you put all of your eggs in the same basket, then there's a risk, especially when you're trying to create a business that is profitable over the long term. So this is why Patrick is scrolling on LinkedIn and he sees a lot of other people on LinkedIn talking about how to make money with LinkedIn and how to build a strong personal brand for a business. And he sees a lot of examples, some French, some international, some British, all of them talking about how easy it is to create a personal brand on LinkedIn and to generate revenue from it. So he decides, why not me? Why cannot be part of this party? And so he decides to put time aside to try this new challenge. And within 2 hours, he creates his first post and publishes it on LinkedIn. He's an expert on LinkedIn, not on LinkedIn, on SEO. And so he uses the same practices as he's used to on this new channel that he wants to try. The problem is, 2 days later, he gets 4 likes, 3 likes from his colleagues, and 1 from his mom. But it doesn't discourage him because he tries and he tries again for maybe 3 weeks. So he posts once every week for 3 weeks. But then the results are pretty much the same. Nothing really comes out of it. And so he decides to abandon this sort of channel because it requires a lot of time and very, very little results. And that's the problem when people want to try a new channel with the wrong methodologies or even no process at all, no real strategy on how to conquer this channel. And so this is what we're going to see today, how to go from zero all the way to thousands and tens of thousands of followers on LinkedIn, but also thousands of engagements and thousands of customers behind it. So I'm Kévin. I'm the head of product design and ops at Lempire. So it's a suite of product that you may already know: Lemlist, Lemwarm, Lemcal, Taplio, Hunter. And over the past few years, I've been able to help hundreds of people actually start on LinkedIn and to create a personal brand from scratch. We've also created a whole course on that, where about 20 to 30,000 people attended it, to actually build their personal brand on LinkedIn, start from scratch, and generate revenue from this channel. But the most important stuff for you and why you're here is because of this. I have 74,000 followers, started from scratch, and those followers generated thousands and and hundreds of thousands and even millions of views every year, and generated also new paying customers. Now, not only did I do it, but did also a whole team of people do it in the same company. So we have today about 10 plus accounts posting regularly on LinkedIn and actually generating engagement, and engagement that translates into free trials, and then free trials on our product converts to revenue. So today we have about 10K plus free trials on our products every month, and we're currently sitting at 24 million in ARR, bootstrapped with 80 people and with a very small sales team. Most of it is due to LinkedIn, actually. And so this is why I think it's going to be very interesting for you to follow the exact process that we followed before and that we're currently still following to get started and to reach those milestones. Now, the first step to actually get there is really to understand the potential of LinkedIn. And so if you don't understand why you need to do something, you're not going to do it. So maybe my first question for you, the audience today, is who understands the power of LinkedIn? If you raise your hand for the fact that you understand why it's important to post on LinkedIn. So raise your hand if you understand why it's important. Raise your hand if you have ever posted on LinkedIn before, at least once. If you're still doing it every month, at least once per month. Every week. More than 3 times per week. Okay, I see Mohamed over there. Okay, so I think you pretty much all understand the power of LinkedIn, but I really want to go over really quickly why it's important, and you're going to understand it later. The first reason is because you're going to be able to network with industry experts. So you're most likely creating a business, you have a product or a service, and at some point, you're going to be blocked in something that you've never done before. And that's where you can network with industry leaders, get friends with those industry leaders, and potentially create business opportunities. The other reasons are basically to find a job. So if you're looking for a job, if you're a student or if you're not a student and you're looking for your best career move, creating a personal brand is going to attract a lot of people to your profile, and you're going to attract a lot of offers also to your LinkedIn profile. And it's the same thing when you want to hire top talents. So for example, if you contact people on LinkedIn with maybe even a generic message, the fact that you have a personal brand, that you have built trust, it's going to help you get way more people interested than if you were just like a random person on LinkedIn. And it's the same thing regarding sales. So when you want to get new customers, whether they're coming to you or whether that you're reaching out to those people, the fact that you have social proof is just going to enable so much more results. And then the last part is, why should you do it on LinkedIn? Because building a personal brand doesn't actually means only doing it on LinkedIn. Well, there's a high chance that your customers or future customers are actually on LinkedIn. And that's because it's, I think you all know, the best B2B platform. And of course, it means that maybe Twitter, Instagram, or other platforms could be interesting for you. But it's really a very active community that you can reach, and people that have actually the willingness to buy. So this makes it really interesting to start building a personal brand. Now, the next part, the next example that I have here is with MrBeast. And the question I have for you is, which one do you think is the hardest to create? Is it the chocolate bar on the right, or is it the personal brand on the left? So raise your hand if you think that it's B, the chocolate bar, or A, the personal brand. Okay, I think we all agree. So I don't mean to share, and especially if I'm leading product teams, that it doesn't matter to focus too much on the product. But what's important is really to understand the fact that when you need to talk about your product, there's just so much noise everywhere, whether it's on TikTok, on LinkedIn, your family, your work, that if you only focus on building the amazing product and you don't focus on how to actually distribute it, it's not going to be way more successful as a strategy. And actually, you're going to see that a lot of very well-known products, even if they suck, they succeed way more because they have a very solid distribution strategy. And the personal brand that you are currently or willing to create is going to be a very, very powerful factor to actually distribute your services or your product. So now that we know the potential of LinkedIn, the first step is, okay, where do we get started? And the first place is who you want to focus on. The reason is it's going to be people that are actually going to engage with your posts, go on your profile, go on your landing page, and then convert. And so this means that you really need to optimize and think first of who you're talking to and who you're trying to make the action triggered. Instead of just only focusing on, okay, well, what works best on the platform, how does the algorithm works? Like this, of course, is important, but nothing compared to psychology and compared to really understanding the people that you're doing content for. So the best way of doing this is actually to look at who you sell to today, because most likely you already have a product or service, and who you can help. So that in the middle would be your target. And that doesn't mean that today it will set the same targets forever, because you might enter a new industry where you don't have really the domain expertise, but you're going to be able to learn and go towards this objective and be able to help your users more. So this is the first step, but then the second step would be this. So you can create all the personas that you want, but essentially the things that matters the most are things on the screen. So most likely the pain that you solve with your product or service. So for example, at Lemlist, B2B sales engagement tool, so it's a sales prospecting tool. We help people, for example, get out of the spam folder. Well, that's a pain that the sales teams, like for example, one of our targets have, and that's a pain that we solve. But there's other pains that they have that we do not solve. So for example, when they get on a call with a prospect, we do not help them with our products to actually close those people or to handle objections, for example. But that would be very interesting content to actually attract them and then have them convert or consume other content of pains that you solve, and then have them convert to your product or service. And then you have other elements like the false beliefs. So what kind of knowledge do you have of the industry that your users don't have, or future users, or even competitors? What do you know that people elsewhere do not know? And then you have other stuff like the metrics that they report to, are they the end user, the decision maker, and basically their scope. And so once you have this, once you know who you want to target and why it's important, you're going to want to target the next part, which is actually creating content. And so even when I started, the most important and sort of element I couldn't get my hand off was, what do I actually write about? So I know I need to publish on LinkedIn. I know who I want to target, but I don't know really what to say. And so I'm going to give you a couple of methods that we use even currently today to find unlimited content ideas. And so basically you won't have any excuses when you leave tonight about what you need to post tomorrow. So the first method is actually something that we created inside of Lemlist, and I call it the magical table. So it's basically a combination of multiple columns that is going to give you a guideline for every post that you're going to write. And so you don't need to take a screenshot of everything. At the end, you're going to have all the templates that you need, all the slides, so you're going to be able to get back on it afterwards, so you can focus with me right now. So the first column is going to be the topics. So the method that we use is, okay, if you think of your targets, so for me, it's going to be the salespeople. Either you go and create it, but also you can just imagine it. So I'm going to start imagining what would be the outline of a course that I would give to my target to go from 0 to the desired outcome, and then break it down into topics. So if I give the example of the salespeople, one of the main focuses of sales reps is going to be the outreach. So if I take outreach, there's tons of different things that enter a successful outreach campaign. You have the fact that you have to find the right people find their contact information like email, phone number, or other LinkedIn information. And then you're going to have potentially the fact of landing in the primary inbox instead of the spam folder. You're going to have the copy of a campaign, different approaches that you can try, benchmarks of metrics. And so all of those are going to be topics that you're going to be able to put in the first column. The second column is going to be the funnel level. So are you familiar with top of funnel, bottom of funnel, middle of funnel? Yeah. So basically top of funnel is the way that it's the type of content that's going to attract the most types of people to your content. And the bottom of funnel is something usually more complicated than the top of funnel. And that's going to push people to actually convert. So then the third column is going to be the approach. So you don't need necessarily 1,000 ideas to write on LinkedIn and consistently. All you need is a set amount of topics. It could be dozens of topics. You can have a lot of topics for sure. But the real trick happens with the approach. So it's basically how do you talk about the same topic, but with 1,000 different lenses. So 1,000 different approaches. So you have a list here, a couple of examples. You're going to have everything on the Notion at the end. But for example, you're going to have tips, hacks, resources, lessons, mistakes, failures, struggles, etc., etc. So you have a ton of approaches. And the other thing that is usually stopping people from posting is people don't feel expert enough in the topic that they are doing, whether they're still in school or whether they're still junior in their position or switching to another industry. They don't feel like an expert in what they're doing. And that's the power of approach, is that you can there's like 3 big approaches with the expertise. The first one is, okay, I'm an expert. I have done so many years in this and this and that. I know my shit. Here's what I know. Here's my lessons, my tips, etc. So that's approach number 1. Approach number 2 is, I'm not an expert, but I went to talk to other experts. And here's their take on this specific topic, on this industry, etc., etc. And whether you actually talk to them or you watch YouTube videos or interviews from Flomodia back over there. And the third one is going to be actually, I don't know anything, but I'm trying to get there, follow my journey to get there. And there's also maybe the same as the third one is, this is just my opinion as someone that is not an expert, but at least is trying in this industry. So that's another reason why there's no excuses after this session not to post on LinkedIn. Now, the next one is going to be the type of post. So actually, this table can be used for any social media, but we're focusing on LinkedIn today. So the types of posts are going to be carousels, video, text, long text, poll, images, and GIFs. Obviously, carousels, images, and GIFs, to me, are the types of posts that work the best and drive the most engagement. And then the last one is my favorite, which is called series. So when you want to get started on LinkedIn and you really, really want to make it work, posting once every month or once every week isn't going to make it. And why invest time to do this if it's only this sort of frequency? So the frequency that you should aim at would be 3 to 5 times per week. And when you think about it, 3, let's say 4, if we take the average, this means that you only have to create 4 posts per week. So if you create maybe like 3 content series or even 4, this means that you know exactly what you need to do week over week. So if I give the example of doing resumes or summaries of books that you've read, of business books, the first week you're going to do a post about it. So you're going to take a book, you're going to create an image for this maybe carousel that you're doing, and then you're going to put the summary, what you've taken out of it, how you can apply in a real life situation. And then the next week, you're going to just duplicate what you've done and just change the image, change the bullet points, and that's it. And then you're ready to schedule. So the power really of building content series is going to be in the amount of time that you're going to spend creating content. So if you have already your templates that are already done and you know exactly what you need to do, you just need to switch the example. It's going to be way easier to create content. Now, obviously, you maybe are not reading 1 book per week, so it might be tough to keep on that same rhythm every week. But luckily, there's a lot of different series that you can do that are not going to take as much time as reading a book. So series is a very big part. And so the goal, once you have those columns, is every line on this table is going to be a new post. And so the goal is the same as if you were picking a lock. So you forgot your keys of your apartment, you want to pick a lock. Is to try basically as many combinations as possible. And those combinations are actually going to give you guidelines to post. So for example, if it's deliverability instead of topic 1, this is basically a guideline telling me, hey, post about deliverability for people top of funnel with a list of tips in a carousel, and it's not part of a series. And so I can guarantee that if you put maybe 10, 12, 20 topics, because you know what you're selling or the product that you're building, and then you do combinations with the other columns, you're going to get at least content for 3 months. And then every 3 months, you can recycle the content that you're creating, if not creating even more different approaches or combinations. And then the next part is actually using one of the products that we purchased a year ago, which is called Taplio. And so this tool has probably between 5 and 7 tools that you can actually use to find ideas or to create your content. So you're going to have different options, like, for example, finding the most viral posts on LinkedIn, to find the best posts on specific topics, to understand how they worked and how you can copy maybe certain elements and stuff like that. The next part is actually getting shit done. So there's a lot of people who even contacted me that are actually posting on LinkedIn, and I follow them, I like their content, etc., and asked me, what is the secret behind having Lempire's organization posting on LinkedIn? Do you have a team actually creating all of this content for people, etc., etc.? And the answer is just this. So everybody is the owner of his or hers personal brand. And it's just a matter of, okay, well, you need to sit down and actually produce the work. There's no secret with this. But there are a couple of things that you need to keep in mind so that the things that you create are the most impactful. The first one is going to be copywriting. The most important stuff on LinkedIn is going to be the hook of your post, whether it's the first page of your carousel or the 3 lines or 5 lines before the see more button. Once you press the see more button, you know that it triggers something to the algorithm saying, hey, this post might be interesting. How about we push it to more people? So the real goal actually is just to make your hook really awesome and then to deliver with a lot of value behind it. Now, even if you put a lot of value, but the format sucks and people don't want to read it, it's not going to work. And I've seen a lot of people on LinkedIn having a very deep expertise on a specific topic, not working at all just because of the presentation of their posts. So you can go back to this. I'm not going to go over all of the single points, but basically try to make it as short as possible. Your challenge when you write a post is to make it as short as possible, to speak in the present, to be factual, put numbers, etc., and to also give this feeling that you want to read the next line after reading the first one. That's really important. And of course, you have copywriting frameworks on the right, very popular ones like PASS, ADA, I didn't put it, oh yeah, I put it. And so those are very good structures if you want to start out to actually take an idea and to break it down into, okay, well, I'm going to talk about this first, then I'm going to follow with that. I'm going to amplify this problem, and then I'm going to talk about the solution. The next part I was telling you was the templates. So this is why I'm a fan of content series, is that once you have your content series, you just create your designs and then you can duplicate them and you're going to be way more efficient. Now you can do this for all of your series. So those are a couple of examples of the templates that I have. So for my cheat sheets on the right, on the left for the one-pagers that I have, and then in the background, you don't see them really well, but that's one content series in the back, which is called email breakdowns. So I have exactly the first slides. I just need to change part 14 for part 15, etc. The example of the email, what I like, what I don't like, how I would rewrite it. And same thing for just posts talking about specific products that we built for free or other resources that we're distributing. So the templates are really going to be a lifesaver in terms of saving time. And I've actually shared my Figma workspace to even people with 200K on LinkedIn, and they've been able to save like probably 4 to 6 hours per week just because they had very good templates that they could just duplicate, edit, schedule, and then move on to the next one. Another part of creating content is something new called collaborative LinkedIn articles. So this is a sort of a PLG strategy from LinkedIn where they create a first version of a topic on a specific industry with AI, and then they ask people, or they suggest to people on LinkedIn to reply, to contribute to those articles, and then in exchange for specific badges. And this is also another element of social proof that is also helping people to distinguish themselves from other people and get more results with the 6 elements, rather 5, that we mentioned at the beginning of this talk. The next part is the creation process. So after all of that, for me, it was pretty easy because I knew why I should do it, who I should talk to, the exact content I needed to produce. But the problem I ran into is that I didn't have a good strategy over time to be consistent. So what we did is that we would be posting 4 to 5 times a week with the team at Lempire. But at some point, we ran out of time. And so just because, especially if you're founders, especially if you're working in sales, marketing, like any job actually, you're busy, right? You have a full-time job, you have projects to move forward. And so finding the time to do this can be challenging, especially when you have stuff coming at the last minute. Oh, I just have a call with this one customer. It's really important to close. Well, the fact that you're actually going and seeing this customer is not writing a post, and so you're skipping one day, and this ends up skipping another day, and so you're starting to break the trends and not being consistent. So this is where you really need to have a process and really think of how do I maximize my time. And this is basically what we've been using and what top creators are using also, is a system where it's 3 simple steps. When you have ideas, whether it's in the shower, running, during sports, whatever time of the day, because you don't choose when ideas pop in, you just note it down. You just have a widget for Notion on your iPhone, or you put like notes somewhere on your phone or your laptop. And then every so often you go back to those ideas, if, for example, you don't use the table, and then you turn those ideas into posts. As simple as this. But you need to do it regularly. Something that we've done at Lempire at first is every morning for 30 minutes, you take those ideas and you turn them into posts. What I'm doing instead is I don't like just doing bits here and there. What I like to do is doing very big sessions of maybe a few hours. And so this way I can create the 3rd step in advanced content. This is a screenshot of Taplio. It's a feature called My Queue where you can just create your content and then press add to queue, and it's automatically going to schedule it to your next available slot that you've determined in the settings. And this is actually Justin Welsh account. He's posting 2 times per day, so that's a lot of volume. But basically, the strategy is find ideas or capture them, go back to them, create a post out of those ideas, and then schedule as most as possible in advance. The goal that I have, for example, is to create 1 month's worth of content in advance. So this way, if I have a rush of 2.5 weeks, for example, and I don't post, it's fine because I have 1 month's worth of content scheduled. And then after this rush, I can go back to a deep session and then do the same thing. The next part is going to be about actually converting people. So it's very known that people talk a lot of, yeah, but that's vanity metrics. It's just like comments. It's not going to actually fill up your bank account, pay your bills, pay employees, etc. Not until you see it as a real funnel. So the first 2 steps are getting engagements and then getting profile views. And you do this basically by creating content. So if you followed all of the steps before this step, you should be here, get conversions. And this is where your profile comes in. So your profile, you've probably heard it before also, you need to think it not as a resume, but as a landing page. I'm not really going to focus too much on how to create an amazing picture or banner. You're going to have tons of information online. The only thing that is important to me on those steps is really the picture, to have the same picture as much as possible, because it's crazy how people associate one person to a picture. There's Charles Millers, so it's a influencer on LinkedIn. He changed his photo from sort of a cartoonish photo to his real face. And for maybe 3 months, I didn't realize it was actually him. And so that's literally the power of having a face that people are used to seeing on their feeds and that they commit to. Now, the banner, though, you can change it as much as you want. And the goal of the banner really is not, or the branding in general, is not to sort of smell your company. So I see a lot of people on LinkedIn who have as a banner or as a profile picture the exact same colors as their company, the exact tagline of their company. And so when you think about it, people actually follow other people more than they follow companies because they associate from one human being to another. And it's also more pushed on LinkedIn. So that's why posting from a personal account works 10 times better, even 100 or 1,000 better, than actually posting from a company's profile. So the goal here is find something unique that is your style and that actually gives value. So basically, you need to answer the question, what's in it for me as a visitor of a LinkedIn profile? So in this case, you can showcase resources or a first type of resource at the top of your funnel or middle or bottom of your funnel. The next part is going to be about your tagline. I think it's called this way. What's important about this one is here, I don't know if you see it on the right, it's the mobile version, or even on the desktop version, when you post on the feed, you're going to see the first tagline words. And so the best thing to do is to make something fit that makes sense from the preview of a post. And then the other thing is actually adding the creator mode, because this is going to push your post way more than just like a random LinkedIn account. And you're going to have the option to have a button called Visit My Website, where you can actually add your real website or a resource, etc. The last part of the profile is, before this one, is going to be the featured section, not the featured section, the verification just beside my name right here. So this is a new feature that LinkedIn released, and it's basically just like Twitter where you verify your identification. So currently, if you don't do it, it's not going to change much. The thing is, it's going to act more as a social proof element for the people who visit your profile. And this is maybe just an assumption, but I believe that in the future, LinkedIn is going to push way more the posts from people that have an account that is verified rather than an account that is not verified. The next part is the featured section. So it's a bit like the banner. You want to focus people and push people to one specific resource. The more call to actions you have, the less people are likely to take action. And the goal here is either to put something that is free or directly your product or a sub-part of your product. This way you can actually get emails, because the problem with LinkedIn is that it's a pain in the ass to track, to know how many leads actually came from this platform. But having resources like this is going to help you track your progress, track results, and actually convert people. So the fact that you have featured sections with resources and valuable resources. So in this case, it's 13 breakdowns, 13 examples of actually what not to do, and actually rewrites, 13 rewrites behind it. So it's something very valuable for people in sales, and it's completely free. Of course, you can add social proof. Now, the danger of the featured section is that you can add way too many links. And as before, just like on the profile, the more call to actions you're going to have, the less people are likely to take action. So choose one main resource and stick to it. The next part is going to be the about section. The biggest recommendation I have here is really to structure it as a LinkedIn post. So you have the same see more button. Your goal is actually to make people click it so that they see the rest of it. And this is a perfect space to actually talk about the pains maybe you were having before starting your company and how you're actually working hard and passionate about this problem in your industry to actually fix it. And then the last part is actually putting it and reminding people constantly with their content. So if you go back here, you can see that you have the visit profile from the post. So this is a post on the feed. So you're going to have the tagline, as I was saying before, but you're also going to have the visit my profile. So this is a new way for people to bypass the fact of going on your profile and to go directly on your landing page. But you can also remind constantly people at the end of your slide. So if this is a carousel, you have your content before, and then your last pages is going to be, hey, if you like this, you're probably going to like this also. It's a new resource. It's basically even more value and 10 times more value than what you've actually seen and liked. And then you can drop a follow so that you can see me more on your feed. And so that's the fact that you have it on your profile when people visit, or when you have it constantly at the end of your post or in the comments or stuff like this. Creators do this a lot. It's going to continuously remind people, hey, when you're ready, take this, you're going to love it. The next part is creating irresistible offers. This is going to get you leads, for sure. So if you have a master resource that is super valuable and that you put it with a good copywriting that actually pushes you to click on the see more button. Hey, we spent 80 hours testing 30 plus cold email tools on the market. For every one of this software, we have pros and cons that price, see more. And so this is how you can create a good hook with an amazing resource. And then you can ask people to comment before getting it. The more comments you're going to get on your post, the more LinkedIn is going to recommend it, and the more people are going to view, and it's going to be the snowball effect that you've probably seen also on your feeds. You've probably also before commented on their posts to get a resource. But you can also do it without having a comment and get technique, because the more you see on your feeds, the more lazy you are. You're like, I need to comment again, and 2 times out of 3, I'm not going to get the resource. The person is not going to send it to me. So this is why when I do comment and gets, I always make sure, if the people follow the conditions in the post, to always send it and to commit to it, because otherwise the next time they're going to see my lead magnet, they're going to be like, this guy is full of shit. He's not going to send it to me. So I'm not going to comment. The next part is actually using it in your outreach. So as I was saying, I think it was number 3 or 4. If you use LinkedIn in your cold outreach or in your strategy, in your outbound strategy, you're going to get more results. And that's a good example of when you're in sales and you add LinkedIn steps inside of your campaigns with another channel, and especially a channel like LinkedIn where you have some social proof, you have posts, you have a very interesting take on the industry, and you share valuable insights. It's going to help way more to start conversations and to actually get people on a call to then close them. And actually, the voice notes are coming next week on Lemlist if you're interested. The next part is going to be profile views. So we said before that this is a landing page. So what do you do when you have a landing page? You do ads and you do retargeting ads. So this is pretty much the same thing, except that it's free. If you have Sales Navigator, so it's $90 per month instead of thousands on ads, where you can actually toggle your viewed recently people and actually scrape those results, put them inside of a campaign for example, just a message on LinkedIn saying, hey, this is a resource. I know you visited my profile, or just maybe just adding these people, because if they've added, if they've seen your profile and didn't add you, there's maybe a reason, and it's a loss of opportunity. So even I manually done this without automating it. So it was before I automated it. And I get way more acceptance rates when people actually know me and they just maybe forgot. There's like 1,000 reasons why people don't actually take action. So once you have Sales Nav, you put this filter and then you can just copy paste the URL of this search inside of Taplio, and we're going to get for you all of those people that you can add on LinkedIn, send a message, or whatever you want. You can also do it with the Lemlist Chrome extension. The next part is people who liked or commented a specific post. What's super interesting here is that if you take somebody else on LinkedIn in your industry that has a very good personal brand, very good engagement on social media, and that you see that they have a lot of comments, a lot of replies, there's a very high chance that the people who comment and the people who like those posts are actually going to like yours also if they know about you. And so if I take a a specific post on sales or from somebody else on marketing or something like that. I scrape all of those people and then I add them. If those people accept my connection request, which is pretty likely because I talk about topics they are interested in, then the next time they see me on my feed, on their feeds, they're going to be very inclined of actually liking it and commenting it. And so that's going to just spread the snowball effect. More people comment or like, the more people see it, the more people take action, etc., etc. Next part is people who attend events. You've probably known this technique for a while if you're in sales. So you can attend LinkedIn events and then have access to the whole attendees list, scrape those results with Phantom Buster, for example, and then put them inside of a campaign or on another tool where you can add people on LinkedIn. And you can hunt for specific events. And the thing that is pretty cool is that events are getting back and more trendy. So it's been a couple of weeks / months that I've seen more and more creators like Morgan Ingram, Nikki, or even other people on LinkedIn. I think of Lara Costa, for example, the other day. So it's getting more and more popular. More and more people are attending it. And so it's very easy to actually get those people to add them and have them engage on your content. The next one is people who liked your company page or competitors' company page. So same trick here, you go to Sales Navigator, you use the Lemlist or the Taplio extension to collect all of those results, and then you can do whatever you want, whether it's finding emails, contacting via emails, or just talking through LinkedIn. So those 4 things combined with what you have before of actually creating offers, constantly reminding people that you have an amazing resource. And so what I mean by irresistible offer is something that potentially should be paid. So the other thing that is super interesting with creating content on LinkedIn is that a lot of content that you're going to see, you've probably seen it already from somebody else or from another platform. So when people see the same advice that is it just becomes basic because they're used to it. And so they're not going to be like, ooh, this guy knows what he's talking about and I need to follow him by his product or service. So the key here is really what do you know, and that comes back to the beginning, what do you know that other people don't, and how can you make it irresistible? So you're gonna have a lot of people that potentially are selling ebooks with the same thing, or potentially selling templates for cold email, or whatever else in terms of resources people in your industry are doing. If you can just make it 10 times better, make it free, it's going to get eyeballs, it's going to get attention, especially if you have a warmed LinkedIn account where you post regularly and you engage with people. And speaking of engagement, I think it's our next point. You don't necessarily need to engage with people to be successful. I'm not the most engaging people, to be honest, compared to other people. But there are 4 very big benefits from this. The first one is you consume other people's content. When you consume others' content, it's going to give you ideas. It's going to give you very interesting insights onto, oh, well, this worked. I wouldn't have guessed that this hook would work, etc., etc. And so this is going to give you more insights, more nurturing on how you can actually improve your content and your creation strategy. It's going to also get you noticed by other people. So if you're one of the first to comment under Justin Welsh's last post with something very interesting, you're going to get more likes. You're going to get people who are going to notice you and potentially add you from that. And most importantly, you're going to be able to create relationships with other people posting. I put creators, but maybe not the right word. People posting on LinkedIn. If you create a relationship with those people, it's going to maybe create business opportunities for you, but you can also do content collabs between each other, share audiences, and actually start to create some sort of a small club of people who constantly engage with your content and you engage back with theirs. And so basically you create this sort of mini group between people that is going to help you move forward. And then last one is what I was saying before, which is when you see people in your ICP, in your target audience, that engage with other people in the same industry, who comment, who like You want those people in your network just because they're going to do the same thing with your posts. And so it's going to boost your visibility, boost your sales, and it's going to help you achieve your outcome. And now the big question is, okay, well, that's cool, but how do I do this for the whole team? And that really depends on your vision of things and to what extent you want to push it. The way that we did it is the first one, which is lead by example. So Guillaume, our CEO, was the first doing it, and he reached, I think, 30 to 40,000 followers within a few months. And after that, he was like, okay, well, either I hire people that are going to write more content for me and I'm going to post maybe 4 or 5 times per day, or I can help my team actually achieve the same thing, have multiple people. And actually, the fact of posting every hour or multiple times a day on LinkedIn isn't necessarily going to push your chances of getting more results. But having more people means more engagement, means more interaction from big accounts. And this means that it's going to be a way more powerful strategy to actually drive more sales, more leads, more emails, and then more success on LinkedIn. The other way of doing it, which is either way, you can do all 3 of them, but the first one that we did was leading by example. So Guillaume did it. He succeeded at it. And then he created accountabilities duos. So basically, he created pairs of people where the unique goal was to have accountability. Because when you start alone, it's very hard, just like if you want to start sports, etc., to actually commit to it and be very, very consistent. When you have a duo, it's very easy to have a challenge. Hey, the first person between us two who doesn't post on LinkedIn for every day of the week has to buy somebody else a brunch that is very expensive and that is really annoying to pay. And those types of accountability duos, I mean, it depends on people, but usually works really well because you are held accountable for something that is fun and that's going to help you accomplish something that is super interesting and valuable, as we saw at the beginning of the talk. And then the last point is actually train people internally. So, of course, if G came to me and said, hey, Kévin, I want you to build your personal brand, get to it. I probably wouldn't be here. So the real driver also is to, yes, lead by example, yes, create accountability duos, but you also need to send them this presentation that you're going to have access at the end so that they can do the exact same process as you, and even maybe other learnings that you've had or struggles that you've had that we didn't have and I didn't talk about today. And normally if you do this, you should be good to have a very powerful LinkedIn strategy as a team within a couple of months. The only thing to pay attention to are those mistakes. Those are my opinion. There's a lot of companies that do it, even though I don't recommend and succeed. The first one is post the exact same content. LinkedIn likes original content. If you copy paste the post of your CEO and post it, it's not going to work. Don't use the same profile pictures or even the same branding as a whole. As I said before, if we can smell your company's branding inside of it, it's not authentic enough. It's not genuine enough for people to follow, or at least to build like really people who are engaged with what you create and passionate. So I would really recommend to create like a unique branding. So I maybe took it to a very far extent with the cheat sheet guide. This is the sort of branding that I went for. But that doesn't mean that you need to go to this extent. But the fact that we see the whole logos of your companies with the exact tagline, and the exact same sort of content than your company, it's not going to smell authentic enough to really be attached to someone. And you're trying to build relationships here. The third one is promote the same thing the same way. So you all have maybe products or services, and so you all have updates to your product, updates to your services. And so once you have those updates, you want to share it on social media. So you're going to ask your whole team, hey, everybody copy paste this post and talk about this topic. So that's not something I would recommend. The thing that we do at Lemlist is that we try to spread the actual posts of people throughout the week or maybe a couple of weeks, so that not everybody posts the same thing. Because if everybody posts the same thing on the same day at the same time and then engage with all of those contents, the people in your audience are going to be fed up with it, because they're going to see a whole feed of, hey, Kévin liked this, promo, Kévin liked this, promo, the exact same one. Then Kévin posted this, oh, promo again. So it's not necessarily the best thing that, I mean, we've done those mistakes, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that we're currently doing anymore. The other part of point number 3 is the actual angle. So we've talked about dozens of approaches for your posts. Do the same thing for your promos. Don't post with the same image, the same GIF, the same video of your updates, of your feature updates. Take multiple angles. And so this way it's not going to appear like a copy paste. People are going to see a different angle, and so they're going to be more entertained by it. The second last one is going to be, don't share your posts inside of your Slack engaging pod channel. Not at least the link directly to it. We've seen that you get way less reach when people actually share the exact link to the post, because LinkedIn is smart. They know exactly where the people come from before they engage. So the best thing that we've found so far is, hey, I posted on LinkedIn. So people just go to their feeds, scroll for 2 seconds, because you're in the same company, it's going to be recommended anyways. And this way you can post efficiently, or you just type the name of the person, go to their profile, go to the latest post, and then engage with it, rather than going to the direct link. And then the last part is what I was saying before, which is don't post from your company's account. We still don't do it regularly. We've done it in the past, and we've stopped. Focus on the personal brands first. Once you've succeeded with this, then you can maybe talk about the company's account. But I've seen so many people going, hey, okay, we need to post on LinkedIn, so let's take the company's account, do the exact same thing, and then from our personal accounts, we're just going to repost those posts or reshare it. Don't do that. That's it. So this is the QR code I promised at the end. So go ahead and scan it. So in this, you're going to have 70 plus templates of carousels that you can duplicate to create your own templates. You're going to find the exact Notion table that I shared, where you're going to be able to duplicate it and create your posts. You're also going to find links to Taplio to try it for free, so that you can see if it helps you or not to generate ideas or posts. And then the last present inside of it is going to be a personal branding workspace that we usually give with our course, our 3-hour course on personal branding, which is basically exact templates and structures of posts. And so it's basically 3 months worth of content. So this means that when you do the table, you have 3 months of content. When you use the templates, you have another 3 months. So this means this QR code gives you like a 6 months worth of content creation for free. And then the last part is, if you want to follow me, go ahead. And then we can answer your questions.
Love for it, it's real. Yeah. 2 times for the haters, man, cause I notice how this shit feel. 3 times for my family, dog, cause this shit done paid our bills. And I get 4 times my net worth from a year ago with no deals. Did it all by myself, I don't need nothing. Dropped 100 songs, I'ma keep coming. Remember times they wouldn't reply, now they all hit me like they need something. 3 times for my family, dog, cause this shit done paid our bills. And I get 4 times my net worth from a year ago with no deals.